team, which means you play it through each stage 4 damn times. I mean, they changed it up with the Chaotix. The Team Rose's stages are shorter, Team Dark stages are longer, and Team Sonic's are in between. But the biggest problem is that the Sonic Heroes core engine, like the actual game engine, fucking sucks. Really bad. It is an awful, awful, awful engine. It really shows whenever you're controlling any speed character. Like there's no speed up time or slow down time. It's like either max speed or stop. Like the game engine just is so crappy.
Now, I kind of read somewhere, I don't remember the source, and I'm not sure how reliable it is. They developed this engine in order to help development on multi-platform, because this is the first time they developed a Sonic game for the Xbox and PS2, and they wanted to kind of do the porting well.
Yeah, well, the engine still fucking sucks. I don't care why they did it. It's awful. It's awful. It's really bad. Like the gameplay, like they did a lot right. The gameplay was unique and interesting, and I really liked that.
Level design was great. This probably had the best level design in the 3D Sonic games until Colors.
Level design was pretty good. All the characters acted as they should have. They brought Shadow back from the dead.
That's one other problem I had with the game is that I understand the style of plot they were going for. They were going for more simple, more like akin to the Genesis games, where it's just a lot more simple and not a big in-depth story. But when you do a game after Adventure 2, which is in and of itself a tough act to follow, this story doesn't seem like a good one to follow up on.
It would have been better had they not spoiled the damn plot twist. Spoiler alert, Metal Sonic's behind it. I didn't really spoil anything because the game itself basically tells you repeatedly, more than goddamn once, it's retarded. I don't know why they chose that. It could have been so much better. And like Shadow, I think the way they brought him back, looking back on it, like I bitched about it for a while, but looking back, the way they did it actually wasn't that bad, and honestly creates a lot. And what? Did you laugh?
I threw a pop can away.
Oh, I thought you were laughing at me. Anyway, the way they did it wasn't that bad. Like, and it created an interesting situation where, like, the whole time they keep finding Shadow androids, so the whole time Rouge and Omega are wondering whether the Shadow they found is really Shadow or just a copy Eggman created. And it creates an interesting dilemma, and it's never resolved. Until the next game. But I mean, there was a lot of tension there, and I saw what they were trying to do, and it worked kind of well. It just could have been a lot better. I do think though the one thing they did definitely right, with the exception of the fucking main theme, because ignore that shit. The actual team themes. Okay, Team Dark's theme song is deep as hell, man. like Julian K. Like, that song, like, holy shit.
I love Team Chaotix's theme.
Team Chaotix's theme is hilarious.
And Team Chaotix, the way they characterized them in this game was actually really, really good. Keep in mind that when they were developing them, they kind of said, okay, Knuckles Chaotix never happened. It's like these characters are brand new, and they were basically...
Not many people even played Chaotix, so...
I think that was Sega's reason for why, like, Mighty doesn't reappear in Sonic Heroes or any game afterwards that had the Chaotix.
Yeah, plus he's also, just Sonic. But, they definitely, I like the fact they brought those characters back. The game really does have a lot going for it. It's just, you gotta get past that core engine being so bad. And a lot of one complaint I hear a lot is that everyone complains there's too many characters. The game was built around 4 teams. this is the one time that Sega has a ton of goddamn characters in the same game, and it works because the game was built for teamwork. It was built to utilize 3 characters at once, and they worked the plot so that none of the characters or teams feel shoehorned in retardedly. You know. Let's move on. I think we talked about more about this than we did Adventure 2.
I think so.
The fuck is our problem? Shadow the Hedgehog.
I will bring up something about that engine that you just talked about.
They used the same fucking engine.
Now, I will defend Heroes for its use of the engine, and I will hate Shadow for its use of the engine, and I will give reasons why. Because in Sonic Heroes, even though that the speed characters felt a little too slippery and that whole Mach speed or just stopping, it kind of worked because most of the time, I was just jumping and running through the game. Not stopping every 5 fucking minutes to fight enemies.
Same cannot be said for Shadow. To use the same engine for a game that is so drastically different in style, that just floors me. It was such a stupid move, and it really hurt the game really badly. As if the plot didn't fucking hurt it up. Spoiler, Shadow's an alien. Or has alien DNA.
I mean, does this game even need to exist?
Its purpose was to truly explain Shadow's past in full, and you know what? It does that, but
well, Adventure 2 did that.
I know, right? It just, and then the choose your path thing was really badly done.
Oh, give Sega the crown.
What?
Oh, man. The multiple paths, they did it so right. Mass Effect ain't got nothing on this shit.
They don't even tell you how to do it
in
the game. And I figured it out when I had to pause. And then I'm like, oh. Well, thanks for explaining that. And Shadow's powers, like Chaos Blast, is pretty cool. Chaos Control really pisses me off.
I didn't know Chaos Control worked like that.
In what regard? What are you referring to? I know what I'm talking about.
Where he glows blue and he speeds right up?
Yeah. And if you're doing a specific objective, like in the very first God-Forsaken stage, where you have to kill either all the alien enemies or all the human enemies, if you use Chaos Control, guess who's going right fucking past all the enemies?
Yeah. It didn't work out.
And the choose your path thing, it was pointless because in the end, they basically show you the real canon ending. So what the hell was the point? And it doesn't matter who you're helping. It doesn't matter whose side you're trying to be on. Every enemy attacks you no matter what. It's so fucking stupid.
I'm surprised we haven't mentioned the weapons yet.
Why does any weapon larger than his head phase through the ground when he runs?
Why are there weapons here to begin with?
Yeah, that was a really stupid idea. The music was alright.
Also, I guess Sega was kind of listening to some people when they complained about Heroes' story being too lighthearted and campy.
Dude! Okay, I understand wanting to make it not as freaking childish, that's fine, but Shadow's like, there's a line.
Shadow murders Eggman.
Yes! Jesus Christ!
Sega, we need to talk about how you handle the tone in your Sonic games. Alright? Having your game with an edge is a whole lot different than making it dark as all hell.
It just felt unpolished, unfinished, and a bad idea. Just a bad idea. It didn't work. I didn't like it. Plus, Eggman's robot design is very questionable. One of the final bosses, Eggman controls his attacks against you with a giant slot machine, which you can hit and use his own slot machine to attack him. Mind you, the slot machine is... What?
Why do you have that?
I know, why did you put the buttons on there? What kind of fucking designer are you? So retarded. And if I hear Eggman say, you know what they say, the more the merrier, one more fucking time, I'm gonna fucking stab him.
Oh. And while we're talking about Shadow the Hedgehog, why don't I bring up one more canon issue about this game?
Go on.
Okay, when the president was talking about how much he owed Sonic and Shadow, when the fuck was that picture taken?
Sometime after Heroes? That's the only time it could have happened! I don't know why they would both agree to pose for a picture at that point, but who knows? Let's just move on.
Bush.
What?
Oh.
Sonic Mega Collection.
Another compilation?
It's a good collection. Sonic Gems Collection.
No, that's a bad collection.
Why?
3 games. And the Game Gear games.
It had Sonic the Fighters. That was a game that almost nobody played. I played it a few times in an arcade, but and it's actually not that bad of a game, as it turns out. I don't know why they consider Sonic Spinball and the Game Gear a gem. They did include Tails Sky Patrol.
I mean, to put it in retrospect, Sonic Adventure DX had the chance to unlock all of the Game Gear games. So if you're a big Sonic fan, you probably got Sonic Adventure DX, and you probably unlocked the Game Gear games. So Gems Collection kind of felt unnecessary unless you haven't played CD or R or...
Why would you... why the fuck is R there? How the fuck is that a gem? That's barely a rock.
I mean, I guess if you haven't played the fucking Vector Man games...
Yeah, they didn't include those. That's nice. They didn't include Knuckles Chaotix, which a lot of people complained about, but from what I heard, which from another debatably unreliable source, apparently the way 32X games are coded, converting them is such a royal pain in the ass. To the point that Sega will not put forth the effort to actually do it. Maybe 32X. I see that being a problem with 32X. It's a really bad thing. Sonic Riders.
I liked Sonic Riders.
I did not like Sonic Riders. It was very slow-paced. Also,
the story was pretty weird.
The story was pretty dumb. Started out by, with boards and Sonic trying to catch up with them. Why doesn't he just run after them? He can run at Mach speed. This is fucking hard for Sonic. Okay. Also, I think I don't like complaining about this because nobody shuts up about it, but I really do believe the original Sonic Riders have the worst voice acting out of any of the Sonic games. The first goddamn thing that Sonic says And he says it just like this. All right, now we're talking. Sounds like he has fucking Down syndrome. I didn't like the game. Alright. Sonic and the Secret Rings.
Very fun.
I liked
Some
it too.
flaws.
What's that?
It had some flaws.
I didn't. My only real major complaint with it was that whenever Sonic moved backwards, the camera doesn't shift to compensate for that, which can be a problem. But it was challenging. It was fun. It was interesting. I thought it was a fun game. Okay, do we consider the Sega Superstars tennis games and Sega All-Stars Racing Sonic games?
Yeah, I would consider them.
Okay, you want to talk about those then?
Yeah, let's talk about them.
Tennis was tennis.
It's pretty fun.
It was fun. It was tennis. All-Stars Racing was a kart racer.
Which was also incredibly fun.
Yeah, I think it was a lot better than tennis. And it's funny, with All-Stars Racing, people were bitching about that game when they announced it. They would not shut up.
I mean, you kind of have to look from as a fan, because if people are really going to make the comparisons about Mario Tennis and Sega Superstars Tennis, if you're not a big Sega fan, of course you're not going to like Sega Superstars Tennis.
Yeah, but if you're not a Mario fan, you're not going to like Mario Kart.
There you go.
What about Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games? Or Winter Games? Or London Olympic Games?
You know, this is another thing that people aren't going to like my opinion over, but for what they're worth, they're pretty fun mini-game collections.
I have Winter Games on the DS. I never played the first one. And it was all right. Like, they're party games.
I think people, kind of complain too much about Mario and Sonic. Why aren't they giving them an actual platforming adventure? And I kind of have to respond with, if Nintendo and Sega haven't thought of a great idea or haven't agreed on an idea to properly do a Mario and Sonic adventure game, then if they've already thought of the idea, they probably would have done it by now.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's come up. Like, there's no way they haven't thought of it. I'm not sure. It's like crossover games like that usually don't work that well.
Especially when the gameplay styles of Mario and Sonic are completely different.
Yeah. Like, in fairness, like with, the upcoming Sonic game, they could split up the levels based on which character you're playing as. But it'd be difficult to do, and then they'd have to they'd have to argue over who's developing it. Like, it's easy to negotiate just a party game, but for an actual full-length title like that, that's more difficult. Sonic Riders Zero Gravity.
Better than the first Riders.
A lot better. I actually really liked it. It was actually fun. Had a couple issues with it.
Story was still weird as hell, but
it was different. I'll give it that. It was a lot better. Like I like what they were trying to do. They tried to add more to a very bland, what is essentially a kart racer, and it worked for the most part. It was a fun game.
I really didn't like how it was advertised, Nintendo Wi-Fi, advertised right on the box, and
that's not. It doesn't have multiplayer.
And all it says, and all it is leaderboards.
No, it's not true. There's also ghost races.
Ooh, because that fucking equals multiplayer, right?
It's the Wii. It's something. Let it go. Just let it go. This is on the list. Is Super Smash Bros. Brawl really a Sonic game?
No.
I didn't think so. It's on there. We are under Wii, in case you couldn't figure that out. Sonic Unleashed on the Wii. Did you play the Wii version?
Yeah.
I didn't play the Wii version, so you can talk about it.
I can talk about the Wii. Alright, daytime stages are still pretty good. The transitions from when they do from 2D to the 3D angles aren't as smooth as they are on the HD versions, but the daytime stages on the Wii version are still pretty fun. They're pretty good. The Werehog stages on the Wii version are not good. At all. At all.
That bad, huh?
The way... Now, I play it with the GameCube controller, and the way you attack on the Wii version of the Werehog stages...
Is it the shoulder buttons?
Yeah. Left claw is the left button, and the right is the right button. The most awkward fucking combat system I've ever played in.
Sonic and the Black Knight.
I really liked Sonic and the Black Knight.
Me too. I think people that bitch about it haven't actually played it. I really do feel that way.
The sword was nice. It was essentially just a big waggle fest, but it was still really, really fun.
It was fun. And somehow, some way, that story floored me. Just with how it ended, you didn't. The game in itself is pretty short, but it tricks you into thinking it's way shorter than it actually is. And then, holy shit happens. It was a really, really fun experience.
I also love how this was a big thumbs up to all the fans. Because, number one, it had musical nods to previous games.
Yeah, the art galleries had violin remixes of frickin' It Doesn't Matter from Sonic Adventure 2,
Shadow's theme plays, his Adventure 2 theme plays over when he first appears. Knuckles' Adventure 1 theme plays when he first appears.
When you fight Shadow, actually, is when the scene plays. But, yeah, I mean, they were... And the art gallery isn't... That's not Sega Art Gallery. That's a fucking fan contest they had. That's art actually from the fans. I mean...
And the best part is that they even used art that wouldn't really necessarily be considered quality art. If you know what I mean. I don't want to say outright horrible.
Why not? Oh, and the shop, a violin rendition of Tails' theme plays. I think it's the SA1 version.
Oh, and thank you, Sega, for making Chili Dogs canon.
That was fantastic.
Oh, and Caliburn is voiced by the guy who voiced Chip.
Really?
Yes.
Man! I didn't think his voice was that flexible. Sonic 4.
I don't want to jump ship too much because, this is just the first episode. Maybe the next two will be better. Sonic 4 just felt like it was just average.
It really was.
Now, people are going to ask about this, so we might as well just talk about it. But no, people, the physics weren't a big deal with the game. Yes, I have to question why Sonic is walking up a hill or why he stops on a fucking dime way too well. But the physics weren't my biggest problem with the game. If it was a problem at all.
It really wasn't that big a deal. Like people bitched about that way too much. There were a lot more issues. Like, the game's length was pretty... I'm sorry, 4 levels and the final boss, and the bosses, most of them were rehashed.
Yeah, it was essentially, the whole game was just essentially the first 3 Sonic games, more from the first 2, just rehashed and condensed into one.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a new, fresh experience. It felt like it was too much of the same. It was literally the same in some regards. Like, that's not fun.
It even somehow made me really not like the Sonic 1 special stages even more because
They reused them.
they didn't even, because the one thing that I really liked about the Sonic 1 special stages were the backgrounds, the LSD-inducing backgrounds. They took those out, so you took out one of the redeeming qualities about them. And you know what even pissed me off even more was the difficulty just kind of spiked in the special stages. There's some, like one moment, you'll be playing the hardest thing to get through, and then the next one will be incredibly easy.
I also liked how in the iPod version you controlled which way they spun by tilting the iPod left and right.
Yeah, you basically did the same on the Wii and PS3 versions.
Annoying as shit. Sonic Colors.
I love this game.
Too short.
It was too short.
Well,
But,
it was good.
God damn
it
that
was
script,
really good.
that script was hilarious.
That writing was great.
That story was probably, it's not as good as Sonic Adventure 2's. I don't even think we can compare the two because the tones are completely different from each other.
No, it's way more lighthearted, but appropriately so.
Sometimes it even kind of makes fun of itself.
Yeah.
I love
Right.
Cubot and Orbot.
Oh, Cubot.
They need that third robot in there. I don't know if they're going to have that in Generations because the third robot with an odd job. Because Adventures of, when you had Scratch and Grounder, you had Coconuts.
Oh, Coconut.
And in X, when you had those two not Scratch and Grounder, you had
Fuck X.
Bo Coon.
Fuck it to hell. I don't like it.
Can we get a Triangle Bot who has Down syndrome?
What the fuck is your problem?
He just kind of cleans the toilets.
Alright, let's move on to the DS. Sonic Rush.
I liked Rush. Is kind of easy.
Yeah, it was
the Rush games. They're just like easy.
It was okay. You're right. It was too easy. It was just okay. Sonic Rush Adventure was a lot better. They added a lot more to the game.
They actually went in depth about Blaze's dimension.
Yeah, which contradicts with something else. We won't go there yet.
They actually did explain one thing about the Chaos Emeralds. And one thing was asked, why are they called Chaos Emeralds if they're not all green? And they basically just said they're called Chaos Emeralds. They can be whatever color they want. And that was their explanation.
Anyway, the special stages that actually used the stylus, which I thought was a really, really nice idea. There was just a lot. There were actually RPG aspects to it, which was strange, but it worked surprisingly well. There was a lot to like about it. Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood.
I love you, BioWare, but this gameplay was kind of dull.
It got old. It got old. I didn't even like the story very much.
I really liked the story, and I actually was surprised how much BioWare knew about the series. They added so many, nods to other forms. They basically just tore out the Archie backstory for Knuckles and just put it in this game.